Good morning. Thanks to each and every one of you for coming here and joining with this ribbon cutting. It's really lovely to see a standing room only crowd. I would like to make some special introductions. We have with us State Senator Jim Gorin, State Senator Anna Kaplan, State Senator John Brooks, State Senator Kevin Thomas, and we are currently in the district of Assemblyman Chuck Levine, who is also with us, Assemblyman Steve Stern, Suffolk County Presiding Officer Dwayne Gregory, and I always have to remind people, Cold Spring Harbor is actually in Nassau, just for the record. Everyone thinks it's in Suffolk. We have the President and CEO of Northwell, Michael Dowling. We are in the village of Laurel Hollow, and we have the Mayor, Dan DeVita, with us. Dan, where are you? We also have a couple of other mayors. We have the Mayor of Rockville Center, Fran Murray, here, and the Mayor of Baxter Estates, Nora Hagginson. So thank you for joining us. Kevin Law is here, President and CEO of the Long Island Association. Kevin. President of the Nassau-Suffolk Building Trades, Matty Arasich. We also have the members of the Regional Economic Development Council. So thank you for being here. And thank you. And our brothers and sisters in labor. So I want to thank Governor Cuomo, who is often with us on Long Island, fighting for us. And I want to thank you for bringing this particular project over the finish line. Thank you. Governor Cuomo makes really important investments in our region in terms of infrastructure, in terms of transit, downtown revitalization, everything that we need to grow the tax base, to keep our young people, and to make sure that we're vibrant and moving forward into the future. So I thank you for that, and I thank you for understanding that. And not just understanding it, but actually making it happen. That's the hard part. So Cold Spring Harbor, as we know, is a real jewel in our crown in this region. So this new facility, which is the Center for Therapeutics Research, is now open. This is just another facet in this jewel. And it's going to provide life-saving research, medical research, cancer research with cutting-edge technology. And we love it because it's great for our brand here on Long Island. There are so many jobs that are dependent on healthcare. It's the most growing sector, economic sector, job sector in our state, and we are on the cutting edge of that. And this is just one example of how that is the case. So it is my pleasure now to introduce the President and the CEO of Cold Spring Harbor, Bruce Stillman.
Well, thank you very much, Laura, for that warm welcome and your support and encouragement of Cold Spring Harbor Laboratory. It's really very much appreciated. I'd like to acknowledge the chairman of our Board of Trustees, Marilyn Simons, for being here. Thank you. And also her husband, Jim. Both of them are very strong supporters of Cold Spring Harbor Laboratory, but also importantly, medical research and research beyond medicine and through their philanthropy, and they're really quite remarkable. So thank you for being here. It's an incredibly exciting time for research, especially here at Cold Spring Harbor. The world is changing faster than ever. The speed and mechanisms with which we disseminate knowledge has forever changed by the technology age. And we continuously innovate in our research programs, not only to stay at the forefront of scientific discovery, but also so that we can maximize the impact on public health. For this reason, Cold Spring Harbor Laboratory formed a strategic relationship with Northwell Health in 2015 to accelerate the benefit of our cancer research to both clinicians and their patients. I would like to thank the President and CEO of Northwell Health, Michael Dowling, who you heard is here, for making this partnership possible, but also for the close collaboration and success that it has really been. Today's ribbon cutting signifies a new era in which advanced discovery science in molecular biology and genetics at Cold Spring Harbor is driving vastly improved diagnosis and treatments for patients in cancer. Thanks to the vision of New York State leaders and many of the dedicated public servants and private supporters, Cold Spring Harbor Laboratory is helping to transform the impact of basic science, fundamental discovery science, for the understanding of causes of disease that are vastly improving people's lives. The Demerec building was completed in 1953 and is considered one of the most productive scientific buildings in the world. With only 7 laboratories in this building, the research of 4 Nobel Prize laureates has been performed in this building. And with this renovation, it will continue the tradition of advancing outstanding cutting-edge biological research. The revamped building will host innovative approach to study how cancer impacts whole body physiology. Particularly, and we're very interested in this, how the increasing obesity epidemic, and particularly in children, is contributing to the increase in incidence of certain cancers. We're also interested in how the cancers influence the brain, such as for depression and sleep patterning. And these areas are really on the cutting edge of how one approaches thinking about cancer. The commitment by New York State was an integral part of our plans to move forward with this renovation project. The extensive renovation would not have been possible without the strong support of Governor Cuomo and the New York State Senate. Over the past couple of decades, we have seen many public officials talk about capital improvements needed around New York State and indeed throughout the country. Governor Cuomo, however, did not just talk about them. He has led New York through one of the largest infrastructure plans in the nation's history, in the state's history, and has repeatedly delivered results. You think about the construction of the now named Mario Cuomo Bridge to replace the Tappan Zee Bridge. The third track on Long Island, which we thank you for initiating, will be a great boon to Cold Spring Harbor Laboratory. And the amazing project at LaGuardia Airport. And the reason why I mentioned these is that these are incredibly important infrastructure projects for our state, for Long Island, but also for the laboratory. For instance, Cold Spring Harbor Laboratory, just across the road here, has a conference center where we host about 9,000 scientists a year who come from all around the world. They come here for conferences and technical workshops that explore the pressing topics in science, giving them an opportunity to discuss the latest developments with their colleagues and who come from many premier research institutions from around the world. And I am sure these attendees will greatly appreciate the improvements in the Long Island Railroad and also LaGuardia Airport. And as Laura said, Cold Spring Harbor Laboratory has a big economic impact. If you think about the number of limo drivers who drive 9,000 scientists a year, it's huge. While Demerec building at Cold Spring Harbor is comparatively smaller than these larger projects that the governor's initiated, it will have, I hope, a global impact on the research community, especially in cancer and the biomedical sciences. We are extremely grateful for the state support, and I want to acknowledge our State Senator Jim Gorin, along with our Assembly Representative Chuck Levine, who you heard, and who's been a longtime friend of Cold Spring Harbor Laboratory, and also to the Mayor of Laurel Hollow, our local village, Dan DeVita, and also to Kevin Law, who's the president of the Long Island Association, who has really galvanized a lot of the economic development projects on Long Island in cooperation with the academic centers and industry leadership. I'd like to thank Centerbrook Architects, long associated with Cold Spring Harbor Laboratory, and particularly Todd Andrews, for artfully paying attention to the historic nature of this building, but creating a space for very modern research. And I want to welcome back to Cold Spring Harbor Art Brings, who was our Chief Facilities Officer who initiated this project. With the continued support of Governor Cuomo, Michael Dowling and Kevin Law, and the public and private sectors, Cold Spring Harbor Laboratory will continue to be a leader in the international research community. It is now my great pleasure to introduce Governor Cuomo, whom we have hugely indebted for his leadership in New York, for his efforts in championing scientific research and as a major priority, for his commitment to economic development, particularly here on Long Island, and most importantly, for his interest in health and well-being of New Yorkers and the public at large. Please give a warm welcome to the 56th Governor of the state of New York.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Good morning, and what a good morning it is. It's my pleasure to be back here in Nassau County, as you pointed out, and at Cold Spring. First to Bruce Stillman, who thank you for 40 years as president of this outstanding organization. You've done a magnificent job. Bruce is just back. He just won an international award, the Canada Gardner Award, Research on DNA Replication Cycles. It's a very prestigious award, and he won. He beat me out by that much. Let's give him another big round of applause, please. Congratulations to the whole lab community that was just judged the leading academic institution in the world in the production of high-quality scientific research. Congratulations. To Marilyn Simons, the chair of the board, congratulations. Marilyn has her PhD from a great university, Stony Brook University. She does amazing work in so many ways in education and autism and working with children. God bless you for what you do, Marilyn Simons. Jim Simons, who's a renowned mathematician, he's a scientist. And Marilyn and Jim, I've gotten to know, and they are just a brilliant, brilliant couple. I often think what a conversation between them must be like. What do they say at the breakfast table in the morning? Pass me the milk, honey. First, how many molecules are in a quart of milk? Trick question. Regular or low-fat milk? I mean, but they are really transformative figures, and I mean that sincerely. If I do my best and I use the opportunity given to me in this job, maybe I can make New York State better. It'll be debatable, but maybe I can make New York State better. Jim and Marilyn Simons have made the world better, and that is inarguable. We have Michael Dowling, 35-year friend of mine. He's a great businessman, great healthcare professional. Runs North Shore organization. I call it North Shore because I know it annoys him after he spent so much time and effort rebranding to Northwell. Michael worked with my father for 12 years, where he basically ran healthcare for the state of New York and did an extraordinary job. My father loved Michael. He always said the same thing about Michael. He said, great mind, but great heart. He used to say, great mind, but great heart. And he was exactly right. When my father was starting to fail, and he would be in his apartment in Manhattan, Michael went and visited with him many times, spent a lot of time. I remember calling the house one time. I got my mother on the phone to check on my father, and I said, what's going on? She said, Mike Dowling is here. I said, oh. I said, is Dad talking with Michael? She said, no, your father doesn't feel like talking today, but Michael is just sitting with him. And I said to myself, with all he has to do, with all the responsibilities, he took the time just to go sit with my father. Great mind, great heart. Michael Dowling, thank you very much. Laura Curran, great county executive, because she said it. Understanding the problem, and that's nice to understand a problem. What's better is a government official who actually comes up with and executes a solution to the problem. And that's what government is supposed to be all about, and that's what Laura Curran does. God bless her. We have Eric Gertler here, who's the Commissioner of Empire State Development Corporation. Applaud him because he's actually writing the $25 million check today, so he has to be happy. We have our health commissioner here, Dr. Zucker. I want to thank him. It's very hard to be in public service today because everybody has an opinion about everything and everyone is animated. And it's hard to do the right thing even when you know the right thing. The doctor just took a position, which I think was totally common sense, which was children should be immunized before they went to school, but it was controversial and he was protested everywhere he went on that topic. But he made the right decision because children should be immunized. He's now taking on the vaping industry, and New York is leading the way. And for his good work, he's getting sued. But he's doing the right job. Let's give him a round of applause, Dr. Zucker. And to my colleagues in the legislature, the senators who were here, and Assemblyman Chuck Levine, they have a very important job because when they get to Albany, they have one mission, which is to fight for Long Island. And they are fighting against other regions of the state because every legislative body goes up there to get for their region of the state. And the competition is tough. You have the New York City delegation, you have upstate delegations, but the Long Island delegation that you have stands up, they fight the fight, and they win. And let's thank them for that. And Kevin Law and so many people who do so many great things for Long Island overall. I was thinking on my way here today. One of the last times I was here, I was speaking with a gentleman who was talking about the Islanders, the hockey team, leaving Long Island. And he was all sorts of animated about the Islanders leaving, and he wanted to know if I could force them to change the name and give up the name Islanders because they were no longer on the island. They'd moved to Brooklyn. I said, well, I don't know that I could really get that legislation passed. It's a little tricky, and we don't really do that. But he was all sorts of animated, and I don't even think he was a hockey fan, and I don't even think it was about the Islanders. I think it was a feeling that Long Island was losing once again. They were losing a hockey team, but it was one in a string of losses. And regional economies work as a system. And there's a positive synergy or there's a negative synergy. Either there is growth and renewal, or there is loss, and then that loss becomes contagious. It works as a system. And Long Island for many years was losing businesses, some because businesses were just transforming, some because businesses were leaving Long Island because they felt that it was an oppressive place to do business. Taxes were high, et cetera. Taxes were high, state taxes were going up. Why? Because the state was spending at twice the rate of inflation. And it's math. If you spend at twice the rate of inflation, you have to raise taxes to cover that. Property taxes were going up 6-7% every year. Nassau had some of the highest taxes in the United States of America. Suffolk had very high taxes. And you saw businesses leaving. With that, you saw young people leaving. The transportation system that Bruce mentioned was deteriorating. The Long Island Railroad made Long Island from a commutation point of view. I remember when my aunt and uncle were moving out to Long Island, and they literally moved out to Long Island at stops on the Long Island Railroad where they could say, I'm 33 minutes from Manhattan, I'm 42 minutes. It was the Long Island Railroad that really opened up Long Island, and then we never modernized it, and it deteriorated. And what was supposed to be a 27-minute commute became an hour if you were lucky. And all these things started to reinforce the negativity. And what you had to do, what we had to do together, was change the dynamic of that system and change it from a negative synergy to a positive synergy. So we started by getting taxes under control. Why? Because that was a powerful signal to business that it was a new day and a different day. And we have the lowest tax rates today that we've had in decades. Every tax rate for every income today is lower than the day I took office. We have a 2% property tax cap for the first time ever. Reduce the rate of increase in taxes by 66%, over $8 billion saved just in property taxes. And then we got smart, and the Regional Economic Development Council and Kevin Law and Empire State Development started investing in businesses and recruiting the businesses of tomorrow. We invested over $620 million statewide in life sciences, $250 million in Long Island alone in biotech. Why? Because we believe that is an economic cluster that is going to grow and that is going to create jobs. And it is. It is. I believe Long Island is going to be the next research triangle. I believe it's taking a lesson from what we learned from Stanford and Silicon Valley. You grow that academic institution, you grow that academic synergy, and that will spin off and create jobs. Cold Spring alone has created 25 businesses just by the spin-off of what they're doing and working with here. So all these things connect. You generate the economy, you generate the spin-offs, and you go from there. And we have been investing in this, not just Cold Spring, but Cold Spring and Northwell, or North Shore, depending on what you like to say, Hofstra, Stony Brook, the Feinstein Institute, Brookhaven. And that is generating an economy that is building and will continue to build. So we are pleased and proud to be part of today. It's good for Long Island. It's good for the economy. But also, it is doing work that I believe will improve the quality of life for thousands and thousands of people. And I believe this work will actually save lives. And there is nothing more important than that. And that is the work that the people in this facility are dedicated to. And God bless them for that. And the state is honored to be playing a small role in today. Thank you, and God bless you.